Maybe it's working now. Whatever. So I hope everybody can hear me now. So what I wanted to say obviously was welcome everybody to a very sunny day here to play F1 2020, and welcome everyone who came here to watch the drivers perform in the F1 Esports League here in Silverstone, the British Grand Prix, where the British Grand Prix is taking place. We have 9 drivers. We have 9 drivers competing for a top spot today. We've got the full qualifying session in front of us, ahead of us, and then obviously still the race, the very, very important part of the race weekend. So now, as you guys can see, we are currently going with Elliot, the winner of the last race, the winner of the last 2 races. Before that, the 2 races before that, so Baku and the Holland Grand Prix were both won by Faradeus in the Ferrari, who has had a little bit of a consistency or performance drop, as we also heard in the last interview that he gave us at the end of the last race. But nonetheless, obviously, also the Ferrari driver is very, very interested in performing well, and he wants to give us some solid laps here. And we are looking at Elliot, who's gone with the fastest lap, nearly 3 seconds faster on the mediums than Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. So about last race, fantastic race. I can only say, guys, please go and watch it on the YouTube channel. You should be able to watch the whole stream. It was a fantastic race. There was a lot of overtaking, a lot of quality, a lot of race pace. It was fantastic. And so we will now focus back on the qualifying session, where Elliot is still P1. So now we'll go with Clutch King. The Racing Point driver. What was that? That was a Ferrari. I believe it was the Ferrari of Faradeus, but I'm not quite sure. Coming in the wrong direction. Well, that was a pleasant surprise, wasn't it? And obviously the only thing that is important to us right now is the fastest lap and region. The man on P2 as a new part of the Red Bull team. Him and Blind 30 are going to try to push down the Racing Points from the top, and obviously the Ferrari of Faradeus. We have a yellow flag in Sector 1. No, in Sector 2, I'm sorry. There's another yellow flag in Sector 2, and it's a Red Bull who has gone with a collision here. Elliot has retired from the session. with a 125, and we will see what Clutch King is going to be able to do with a good corner, some good corners here. Now going into the last corners of this track, corner 11 here, and on the straight where Clutch King is going to get the fastest lap of qualifying one of the first qualifying session, going to sneak past Elliott by 300ths of a second. What an amazing performance by Clutch King in the Racing Point. We have Elliott on P2, Regent on P3 in the Red Bull, Wrath on P4 in the Alfa Romeo, Blind on P5 in the Red Bull, Sebo on P6 in the McLaren, Faradeus having done a very slow lap, and Zakis and Ziflock on P17 and 18. Some drivers are going to improve their laps, some drivers are not. So we are now going to go with Sebo 55, who's still in his Sector 2 at the end, or coming to the end of Sector 2. And there's the long straight. Now into corners 7 and 8, facing corner 9s, 10 and 11. But he is going to go into the box as he's happy with P6. Let's go with Zakis in the Williams. Also a new driver on the grid today. But he's going to go into the box again. Probably Faradeus is not going to go into the box. Sebo has retired from the session. And Faradeus is jumping a little bit around. And he's going to go off track. Well, that's obviously not a great start for Faradeus here in Silverstone, as he just came out of the box, and it looks like he's having some problems with the internet. He's the only driver missing, and he certainly doesn't want to start this Grand Prix from P19. And it's already saying that he's 2 minutes in Sector 1. I am not quite sure if that is true, but I think that I can see that I'm able to see that there is some front wing damage. Is there? No, there's not. No front wing damage. It was a big collision though. Whatever. Faradeus is still on his out lap. Well, that was weird again. That was weird again. Whatever. We'll obviously monitor the situation and look at what how he is going to perform. And here he goes. Wrath retired from the session. And Farideus retired. No, Farideus has left the session. Well, that's a little weird, but I believe that at the moment it is looking like Farideus has got to start this Grand Prix from P19. Is it? And we will now just wait for the drivers to retire, or for some drivers to put up some good laps. In the meantime, if you want to race in the F1 Esports League as well, and you're either on PC or Xbox, also if you are on the PS4, you can just join the Discord link and you will be part of this league. You don't need to be very good. You don't need to be very competitive. It's just a league to have some fun and to enjoy. So, if you want to race in a fun league with fun people and have a lot of fun driving Formula 1 cars, then you can join the F1 Esports League. So we're now at the end of qualifying number 1. I apologize for the technical difficulties that some of our drivers had to face, but in the end we're now finished with Clutch King on P1 and Elliot on P2 after Q1. So we've got a double racing point performance here. Region then on P3 in the Red Bull, Wrath on P4 in the Alfa Romeo, and Blind 30 on P5, Sebo 55 then on P6 in the McLaren. So we're now in Q2, and hopefully this time it's all going to work a little bit better. Again, I, in the name of the F1 Esports League, apologize for the technical difficulties and for the problems that came through here. I hope you guys can understand. And I'm trying to get an onboard look for every one of you so you can see how the drivers are looking right now. Wrath is in the pits, Regent is in the pits, Sebo is on his outlap, as is Elliot. And so we'll now go a little bit with Sebo 55. The orange McLaren became iconic . Sebo, heating up his tires, has come out on the softs, and it looks like there's a Racing Point having troubles, and I believe that it is the Racing Point of Elliot, but I'm not 100% sure. So we'll now look at Sebo trying to finish, or trying to start and perform a very good lap here for the McLaren to secure himself Q3 and to get a good position for the race. Sebo is now in the middle of Sector 2, coming towards the end of Sector 2 and starting Sector 3 in the next corner, about right now. With the fastest lap, or at least 2 fastest sectors for now, which I believe the Racing Point did get ahead of that time. But on the other hand, we have Valtteri Bottas with a 1:28. And now, as I said, Sebo 55 took himself that pole position, or the P1 spot for now. And Elliot and Clutch King are nearly 2 seconds faster than Sebo 55 in the McLaren. Absolutely unbelievable what the drivers are doing. We'll now follow a little bit. We'll now go a little bit with Region T, so that we can see what he as a new driver is going to do, and obviously what he can do too. Here we go. He's losing power, or at least he doesn't have enough fuel anymore, or not that much anymore. We'll look what the other drivers are going to do. Region T is going to go into the box, as is his teammate. No, as is Sebo55, who's in the pits. I'm very sorry. Elliot and Clutch King both retired from this session. Clutch King is very happy with his current P1 spot, and I can understand that. I would be too. Region T on P3 and Blind 30 on P4, but Blind is fighting to get a better performance, or to pass on Region T. The question is he going to be able to do that, to achieve that? We'll see. With about 8 minutes left on the clock, the drivers still have to improve their laps and their times. But Blind is going to go into the box, into the pits, as he probably is happy with his lap time as well. Rath now finishing his lap, and it's a 1:27, finishing in front of Sebo55. Region T coming out for another lap here. So Rath now has let Region pass here. Faraday is back in the session. So all of our drivers that made it into Q2 are positioned from in the top 6 spots here. So no one has been outraced by the AI at the moment from the drivers that made it into Q2. Blind 30 now retired from the session as well, and Region has finished his out lap, so it's going to go for another lap here. And I'm actually really excited to see whether the Red Bull team is going to be able to push down the racing points from that top spot there. Sabo's out for another lap as well, and Regent has retired from this session. Wrath is in the pits, but I am not 100% sure if he's going to retire or not, or if he's trying to improve his lap again. But in the end, the most important parts of qualifying are Q3 and the race, obviously, because the pole position gives you a little bit of an advantage, but as we've seen in the last races, it's definitely not a security for everyone to win a race. Sebo has retired from the session as well, from Q2, and we're now only waiting for Wrath to wrap it up. And we're now waiting for Wrath to retire or to do some laps. With 2 minutes remaining, 3 minutes remaining on the clock. At the end of Q2, the standings are looking similar to before. Clutch King and Elliot on P1 and 2, Regent on P3, Blind on P4, Wrath on P5, and Sebo on P6. Now it's the time where it really starts to count where the drivers really have to perform well and to give their best. And we are in Q3, where the drivers have 12 minutes to show us what they've got. We have 2 McLarens leading the pits. A Racing Point. 2 Racing Points. And we're now looking at Clutch King, or following Clutch King a little bit, as he's going on his outlap. The drivers now are really trying, or starting to fight and to perform, obviously, to improve their times and to get that pole position. This is what it's all about in the qualifying. Their final standings. There's a yellow flag in Sector 3 between Elliot and, I believe, Sebo or Lando Norris. It has been Lando Norris, as he's gone into the pits. No drivers have yet finished their time, or put a time on the clock here. So the first driver to perform a lap here has been Sebo 55. Elliot has gone right past him, and Clutch King has gone right past Elliot with a 1.24, with a 124.7. That's about 2/10. Yeah, well, more 3/10 away. No. About 1/10 of a difference between the two drivers. That's amazing. That is amazing what these two guys are doing. Let's hope that the Red Bull team is going to be able to push them away or to push them down, to give them a little bit of a fight here, because that is what we want to see. We want to see a fight. Blind has finished his lap on P4, so finishing behind Wrath in the Alfa Romeo, who's performed very well and is currently on P3. Clutch King holding the pole position, and Elliott on P2 with a 1.24. Also, Regenty on P3 and Blind 30 on P5, so he's pushed both of them down a little bit. Sebo 55 still on P6. And now, I don't think that Blind is going to be able to improve his time. I believe he's going to go into the pits. There's only 4 minutes remaining on the clock, and Elliott is obviously going to try to improve his lap time to beat Clutch King and to get himself the pole position that he also had in Baku. The question is he going to be able to do just that? And he's going to spin in the middle of this track, and that is why he's going to be disqualified from this from the session. Unfortunately, could have started from P2, now starting from P10. Blind 30 has retired as well. And Regenty is going to try to improve his lap time to maybe get closer to Clutch King or even beat Clutch King. Also, Wrath and Sebo still out on the track. Clutch King has also gone out on another lap here to try to improve his lap time too, with a 1 minute 40 left on the clock for the drivers to perform and to improve. We'll take a look at that. Oh, now he's gone a little bit off track, which obviously is going to cost him some time. A little bit of oversteer here. Slipping or sliding a little bit over the track. Sebo has passed blind 30 and got himself into P4. Wrath is currently on P3 in the Alfa Romeo. Regent in P2, and it's not looking like he's going to go any slower. Is he? That is the question, and we obviously hope to see a little bit of a fight. Elliott unfortunately was thrown out of this session. Well, and now the time is nearly over. You can see the drivers are, most of the drivers are very happy with the lap time. Sebo 55 on P4. And that is going to be the final lineup for this race. So we will see how the drivers are going to line up. Clutch King is going to start from pole. Regent is going to start from second spot. Wrath in the Alfa Romeo on P3. Sebo 55 on P4. Blind 30 on P5. And I wasn't able to locate Elliott. Probably is going to start from P20, so from last place. I don't. And we are racing in the wet. We are racing in the rain, and that is very difficult, dangerous, but also a lot of fun for us. We've got the drivers readying up here, and they are excited to start this Grand Prix. Excited for this race. Excited to perform for you. Here we go. We first have a formation lap that the drivers will have to do. Clutch King, who has got himself the pole position. Amazing performance. Now trying to heat up the tyres a little, going out on the intermediates as all the other drivers as well. He is the number one for this race start here in Silverstone. 18 corners that the drivers have to do. actually 20 corners, I'm sorry. 20 corners and 5.891 kilometers each lap for the drivers. We're now going into Q2 and we can see a little pile up there in the middle. And here we can see the predicted pit stop strategy, either going for a one-stop strategy or for a two-stop strategy. But obviously that depends on the driver and his own ideas of how he wants to drive the car. Silverstone, very difficult with a lot of rain, very dangerous for the drivers as they really have to concentrate. They can't drive too fast. They shouldn't try to perform some dangerous dive bombs there, but they should focus on the rather slow and regulated or controlled movement and overtakes. We still are hoping to see an exciting race start, obviously, but nonetheless we are hyped for this Grand Prix, for this British Grand Prix, and there's not much missing anymore for this race to start and for this fight to begin. And here we are. We already have a yellow flag in Sector 3 and it is starting. The drivers are going off and we can see Charles Leclerc pushing down here, and Clutch King with a great start, securing himself this P1 for now. And there has been a big pile up in the middle, has there? Kevin Magnussen, no, it was lower. Lando Norris is out of the session and Elliott has dropped down as well. What a fight what a battle that was there. Blind now trying to fight himself back. Rath has got a 5-second penalty. Sivlock doesn't, but he's on P12. Sakis has got a 5-second penalty too. So that was a massive pile up back there. And now we have a little fight here at the top between Regent and Sebo 55. Regent has gone off the track a little here, but it's half a second between the two drivers. Maybe he can do it now, trying to cut inside. Is he? No, he's not. Maybe now on the straight he's going to be able to use the overtake button, but it seems like he doesn't have enough fuel or not much fuel left. I don't know what that means or what that is. Now over the outside, being pushed out a little by Sebo 55. Now over the straight, going on the inside and passing Sebo 55 to get himself P2 in the Red Bull. And Sebo is obviously fighting back on that position. He doesn't want to give that spot away. And Rath has passed Sebo 55 too. And now it's a constant fight between the Alfa Romeo and Rath. Between the Alfa Romeo and the McLaren. Not much missing, but we are going to look at this fight that is taking place right here. Blind 30 against the Alfa Romeo of Rath. Is that going to be an overtake? No, it's not. But Blind 30 has to defend himself. Against the other ones. And Faradeus is now in the pits again. On P18, Elliott on P16, both not having a lot of fun in this race, I can imagine. Rath now about to make an overtake here. Is he? It's looking pretty good. But Sebo is doing the overtake here on Region T, is he? No, he's not. Maybe now. He's keeping himself on track. And he's going on the straight. Taking the outside, cutting inside, pushing him a little. And there was contact. As Region T has dropped down a lot. That was a massive hit that Sebo gave him. Blind 30 is now on P3. Concentrated and focused on winning this. And on trying to fight back. Rath now has got Lewis Hamilton behind him, which is the closest or the biggest threat. But Blind 30 has got Rath behind him, which is the biggest threat. And now maybe it's going to work. Oh, Blind was defending, but that was a dangerous defending. Some good reactions from Rath there to stop the two cars from colliding. And performing a big crash that we definitely didn't need today in the wet. It would have only stopped this Grand Prix. And we definitely don't want to see that happen. Clutch King performing one fastest lap after another. And now it's Rath trying to pass Blind 30. The question is still, is he going to be able to do that? Maybe over the inside. No, he's not. Now in the straight. He's not going off track here in the wet with the rain. And the distance is increasing every single second. Rath now more than a second away from Blind 30. Elliot now trying to fight back. Trying to do the overtake on Ziflock here. From P16 to P15. Maybe now in the straight Ziflock is leaving the space. As if he's saying, sure, no problem. Just come in, go by. Don't mind me. And well, that's a good move here from Elliot, obviously, but we are back here with Rath, who's trying to overtake Blind to get himself back into the podium spots after 5 laps that we are racing right now. There's not much space between the two drivers. Now using the ERS. Is he going to do something? The rain is obviously looking like a big problem for a lot of the drivers. And everyone is still fighting. Elliot now has passed Zakis as well to get to P14. Rath is still trying to get past Blind. But with these conditions, it's not looking too good. But maybe now something is going to happen. Blind 30 with a lockup as it seemed, and now Rath is trying to go over the inside. And he does move past Blind, but he's fighting back there. A 2-minute distance, Blind and Rath fighting for their P3 spots. What a battle between the two drivers. So talented. So fantastic to watch these two fellas. And now obviously it's Blind's turn to try to pass on Rath. Ziflock, on the other hand, here is about to overtake Zakis in the Williams, who's on P15. Clutch King has got another fastest lap. Faradeus now with the overtake on Ziflock. And Region T here in the middle with the overtake on Ocon right now. Late braking from the Red Bull. Isn't it? And Rath is now very, very close to Sebo 55. It's not a second between the two cars. And we have a yellow flag in Sector 3 for Zakis in the Williams, who's gone off track. Rath now half a second away from Sebo 55 and the overtake. Now after 8 laps, about to become 9. The question is who is going to finish on top of this race. Clutch King at the moment is clearly one of the favourites. with his absolutely fantastic qualifying session and an even better race start. Now Reth has got the space and the time, and he does overtake Sebo 55 over the inside on that long straight here, cutting into the last corners. And now it may be Sebo's turn to overtake, or to at least try to do that. We still have a lot of time penalties here. Wrath on P2 right now after lap 10, or in lap 10. Sebo on P3. Blind on P4. And Regent on P6. Elliott is trying to get back into the points, and at the moment he's doing a great performance. He's doing a very good job now over the outside in that very difficult corner. Now maybe cutting in the inside, making a little dive bomb. No, he doesn't, so he has to reach right over the outside. But Magnussen is pushing him out a little. He's still fighting, and Magnussen then was about to go through him. Regent is now less than a second away from passing Lewis Hamilton here, but there's still a lot of time left. Half a second maybe. Now on the straight he can get there, or with some late braking, trying over the outside. And that was some luck up from Lewis Hamilton. There we go, some drivers went into the pits. I was able to see a McLaren going into the pits, the McLaren of Seba 55. Which means that Rath is now on P2, Clutch King on P1, Blind 30 on P3, Regent on P5, Elliott on P10 and Seba on P11. Although Elliott is about to do the overtake on Kvyat. Now it's a big fight between Regent and Lewis Hamilton. There's not more than 2/10 away. Okay, now it's a little bit more. Oh, that was a hit in the box from Regent. It obviously wasn't against any other drivers, but against Lewis Hamilton, who is AI, but still, that is going to cost some time. Now some drivers are coming out of the pits. And we have Elliott, who is on P7, fighting for the better spots. Here we have him against Esteban Ocon of the AI. Now Blind has got himself a 5-second penalty as well. Rath has got a 5-second penalty. Well, I'm not sure if I saw that right, but I believe it was Blind. They're all in the pits right now. Elliott is on P6, and he is trying to pass the other drivers. Don here on P11, now P8. It's Faradeus passing some drivers who are in the pits. Now on P7, currently behind Lewis Hamilton, who's going very slow. And now we're back into the race as Faraday did overtake Charles Leclerc, but is pushed out by the Ferrari driver, who's back on the track. Although there were some casualties there. Regent now also about half a second behind Lewis Hamilton again. And Regent has done a Max Verstappen classic and turned blind now, going past Elliott, slipping a little bit in the wet as the drivers still go with intermediates, and it's not raining as hard as it did before, but Sabo is trying to keep up with Wrath. There's a yellow flag in Sector 2 as Pierre Gasly has dropped out, and I think there should be a safety car coming. So currently there are no super big fights, but the drivers obviously are still trying to finish this race, and now Zach is blue flagged here by Sebo. A lot of drivers have been blue flagged in this race. We're in lap 19, so 7 or 8 laps to go. Now we're getting a little fight here in midfield between Thaddeus and Lewis Hamilton. The Mercedes driver, obviously, in his home Grand Prix, and Thaddeus in the Ferrari. Still looking to get back to these performances that he had before. Oh, and now there's even been a collision here for Thaddeus. It's not looking good for the Ferrari driver. It is not looking good. Now Regent being the one trying to pass Lewis Hamilton here. And Thaddeus retired from this session. Just couldn't keep on with this fight. Now Regent has passed Lewis Hamilton. And we've got Blind in the fight to overtake Sebo 55. He still has some laps to go. Some time here for him. Is he going to be able to do that? Maybe on the inside here. No. Sebo's slipping a little bit. Now on the straight, maybe if he used the ERS more. Yes, there he goes. He tries to do that. Now he's getting closer and closer, maybe over the inside. Now trying to cut inside, maybe. Is he going to do the touch wheels? And he's going off the track. Super unfortunate there. And he's gonna drop down, has to go into the pits. A big front wing. Well, I believe they're all going to change for the softs, maybe, or for the mediums. To get a little bit, to get a better grip, obviously. Elliot now the only driver here. That is close to fighting another driver. Maybe can do the overtake on Sabo 55. Willie now over the outside, trying to do a good move here over the inside, but he doesn't have enough space. Sabo is pushing, and he does leave the space. Now maybe he can do it over the inside. Sabo is too slow, and Elliot goes past Sabo 55. Now Regenti on the edge of passing Valtteri Bottas, and Elliot on the edge of passing Lewis Hamilton. With 2 laps remaining, maybe now with some late braking. Yes, that is what he's going to do. And it's on Sebo now to pass Lewis Hamilton. We're now in the last lap of this race. Very much inside of this last lap of the final lap of Silverstone. And it has been challenging. I want to say challenging because it has been really challenging. The drivers had to focus on the wet after dry qualifying, and now not the best circumstances, and we had a lot of lucky drivers, or we had many unlucky drivers, obviously, as well. But that's part of the deal. That's part of racing in Formula 1. Sometimes it just doesn't work like you wanted to, and in the end you just have to deal with it. And that is what the drivers had to do. Clutch King, congratulations on his first win in the Racing Point. Blind 30 finishing his Grand Prix on P7 for the Red Bull, bringing some points to the team, as well as Regenty, who's going to finish on P5. Rath about to finish on P2. So on the podium for the Alfa Romeo driver again. Fantastic race from him as well. Would have loved to see him win this Grand Prix. Really deserved that one too. Fantastic driver. Great skill. Great performance. And some big fighting spirit that he's put onto the board here. Now he is over the line, as is Elliott, to fulfill the podium here. And P3, P4 with Sebo, 55. Regenty coming in for corner number 20. And this means the end of the Grand Prix. Driver of the day for Elliott, 20. For Elliott in this Grand Prix. Congratulations. To all the drivers. A very good race. Congratulations to Clutch King on his first win. Congratulations to Rath on the podium and P2. And here we have the standings. Clutch King with a first place. And so the win, Rath on P2, Elliott on P3, Sebo on P4, Regent on P5, Blind on P7, and then Fiders on P17, disqualified. Zakis on P16, and Ziflok on P15. So we're now waiting if any drivers want to do some interviews. If not, okay. Well, so it's not looking like anyone is going to come for the interview. I'm very sorry for that, obviously. Whatever. It has been a fantastic race. We've seen some great race pace from Clutch King and obviously from all the drivers as well. Some good performances from everyone there. Some were unlucky, some were lucky. I won't add anything anymore. If you liked the stream and enjoyed the race, please leave a like and a follow. Obviously, support us on Instagram as well. And if you want, join our Discord channel if you want to be part of the Formula One Esports International League. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you next time for another race.